You did everything right. You saved, you worked, you stayed disciplined even when it felt like nobody else was. So when you look at homes in 2026, it's confusing. Prices finally stopped exploding, mortgage rates are down from the peak, but that monthly payment at 6% still feels like a stretch, and everyone has a different answer about whether you should lock in now or keep renting. If you're a middle-class American doing most things right with your money, but terrified of making a home mistake you can't undo for 30 years, this is for you. By the end of this video, you'll know the 3 questions that tell you whether buying at today's rates is a smart move for your situation or a quiet trap that will strangle your future goals. Because the real problem isn't high mortgage rates, it's buying the right thing at the wrong time in your financial life. Most people believe there are only 2 options in 2026. Either you rush in now because rates are still lower than last year, or you sit on the sidelines waiting for some magical moment when prices crash and rates go back to 3%. On paper, both sound logical. But here's the quiet truth. 3% mortgage rates were an anomaly, not normal. And most local housing markets are not going to rewind back to 2019 pricing just to make our spreadsheets feel better. So if you anchor your entire decision to, "I'll buy when rates go back to 3% or prices drop 30%, you may spend the next decade renting by default, not by strategy. Meanwhile, if you panic buy a house at 6% with no margin, you can lock yourself into a payment that quietly chokes your savings, your 401k, and even your ability to handle a job change. The hidden villain isn't the number on the mortgage rate. It's overstretching for the idea of homeownership before your financial foundation is ready. So let's strip away the noise and walk through 3 questions that actually decide whether buying at 6% makes sense for you in 2026. The first question is simple to ask, but uncomfortable to answer. Can your life handle the payment? Not just your spreadsheet. This is not, can I technically get approved? It's, can my real life carry this payment and still breathe? Take a simple example. A couple making a combined $120,000 a year. They're eyeing a $400,000 home with 10% down. At roughly 6% on a 30-year mortgage, that's around $2,150 to $2,300 a month for principal, interest, plus estimates for taxes and insurance in many markets. On a spreadsheet, a lender might call that fine. Debt-to-income ratios look acceptable, they get the pre-approval letter. But here's the problem. That number doesn't include their irregular realities of their life. The car that needs replacing next year. The kids' activities that always cost more than planned. Health insurance deductibles that reset in January. A safer way to think about this is simple. After you plug in that future mortgage, your fixed monthly costs, housing, minimum debt payments, insurance, basic utilities, should still leave you with room to save and invest at least 15 to 20% of your take-home pay. If saying yes to this house forces you to cut retirement contributions, stop building your emergency fund, or live on credit cards for small surprises, you're not buying a home, you're buying a stress machine. The question isn't, can the bank approve this? It's, can we make this payment for 10 years, straight, without our life becoming narrower every single year? If that answer feels tight or shaky, buying now, at any rate, is probably early. The second question is this: are you treating housing as a stability decision or an investment fantasy? Most of us have been told some version of buy as much as the bank will lend you. Real estate always goes up. That belief felt safe when rates were low, and any starter home in a decent area seemed to climb in value every year. It fails quietly when you buy near the top of a price and rate cycle and plan on flipping out in 3 to 5 years. Imagine 2 people, same income, same city, same $450,000 house at 6%. Person A plans to stay for at least 10 years. They buy a boring, solid home in a stable area. They're okay if the value just creeps up slowly. They keep investing in their 401k the whole time. Person B tells themselves, we'll live here for a few years and then trade up once we've built equity. They stretch to the max price. They assume 5 to 7% price growth a year, and they quietly stop investing because the house is our investment now. If home prices move sideways for a few years and closing costs eat up 6 to 8% every time they move, Person B may discover they've locked 5 years of their life into an asset that barely moved, while missing out on compounding in their retirement accounts. The real problem isn't the mortgage rate. It's turning your entire wealth plan into one highly leveraged bet on one address. So ask yourself honestly, am I buying stability or am I gambling on appreciation to fix a stretched decision? If you plan to be in the home at least 7 to 10 years, can comfortably handle the payment, and still invest in other places, a 6% mortgage can be a reasonable trade-off. If you're hoping home price growth will bail you out of a thin decision in 3 years, that's not a plan. That's timing the market with your entire lifestyle. The third question is the one almost nobody asks before they sign. With this mortgage, how much of my future freedom am I quietly giving up? Think about your next decade. Do you want the option to change jobs, start a business, or take a career step back for a while? Do you want to be able to help kids with college or accelerate retirement savings in your 40s and 50s? A healthy housing decision should support those future moves, not quietly block them. Let's go back to that $120,000 household. Assume they could either rent for another 2 to 3 years, keep housing costs a bit lower, and aggressively build cash and investments, or they could buy now at 6% with a payment that leaves them just enough to get by, but not enough to increase investing when opportunities show up. Over 10 years, the difference isn't just the home value, it's the extra flexibility, the ability to take a better but temporarily lower paying job, the ability to max a 401k when markets dip, the ability to handle a medical bill without panic. Comfortable, but slightly smaller housing now with room to invest and adapt can put you hundreds of thousands of dollars ahead of a dream house that locks every extra dollar into one address. You're not choosing between renting and owning. You're choosing between different versions of your future balance sheet. So here's a simple filter I'd use in 2026. If the house you're considering still lets you keep a real emergency fund, continue meaningful retirement investing, and maintain some career flexibility, then buying with a 6% mortgage can absolutely make sense, especially if you plan to stay put for a long time and refinance later if rates drop. If the house squeezes all three, the rate is not the problem. The house is. You don't need a perfect housing market to make a good decision in 2026. You need a clear view of what you're really trading, not just dollars today, but options for the next 10 to 20 years. You're not just buying a home. You're choosing the kind of financial life you'll be living around that home. If you want to understand money decisions at this level, how mortgages, retirement, and everyday cash flow all connect, this channel is built for that. And if housing is on your mind, the next step I'd recommend is watching my breakdown on how the 2026 debt and cost of living squeeze is quietly changing retirement math. It will give you the bigger context around the numbers we just walked through.